Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about a project that I was a part of called Scrapage. It is an arena shooter in VR. I worked on many of the systems in this project, including the camera, the VR handling, the animation systems, and the AI systems. I'll also show some footage from our vertical slice. So one of the first features of the game is climbing in VR. Usually in VR, if you just move your hand freely, it just moves around. But if you do a grab over an object that we label as climbable, then it will move the capsule along with you wherever your hand goes, as long as you remain holding. If you let go, then you'll continue to free fall and the hand will no longer have control of where the capsule goes. Next feature we have is the grapple system. It's a lot simpler than it looks. You essentially just shoot a cube out of either hand depending on your inputs, and then once the cube hits something, then you will now apply a force on the capsule towards the cube until you get to that destination, or if the user just lets go. You could apply forces in opposite directions and kind of like iron cross yourself in the air, which is a useful feature sometimes during gameplay. It also lets you use your momentum so you could swing around like your Spider-Man or something around like a wall. The cable component is a default thing in Unreal. All I did is attach one end of the cable component to the cube that you shoot out, and then the other part to your hand. The cube is just programmer art, essentially just for an artist or designer to go in there and add whatever mesh they wanted to. So one of the main weapons in our game that we developed is just a pistol. Every weapon in the game, when you grab it, will have a assigned hand pose to it as well. So when you grab the pistol, you'll see that there's the correct hand pose and it looks good when you're holding it. Also, of course, whenever you shoot, you'll have a projectile, and our projectiles will ricochet off of static objects. Also, we have muzzle flash, so we have a VFX that plays every time you shoot, as well as animation on the gun itself. Additionally, when you hit dynamic objects, the projectile applies a force, and the weight of these objects will play a factor in how they move. Another weapon we developed was the gravity sword. The most interesting thing about it is probably the animation behind it. I reached out to the animator initially and I just asked him for 3 still frames of the sword with the metal pieces at different distances apart. All I would do in the animation graph is based on how quickly you're swinging the sword, you would blend between the 3 frames, and so you would see the metal pieces lag behind further the faster you swung. Next is my favorite part of the game, and that's the upgrade gems. So the upgrade gems in the world are very large and hard to miss because they're very important in the game. But when you grab them, they're very small so that you could fit them into the compartment within the hand. Whenever you have a gem in a compartment, it applies some kind of ability. This purple one in particular is the charge shot. So whatever hand has the charge shot ability will have it applied. So if the left hand doesn't have anything in it, it won't have the charge shot compared to the right hand. There's several gems that we intended on developing, but for the vertical slice we only had just the one. But it would make for a much more interesting gameplay if you have different gems that you could combine into each hand. So as you can see, the right hand is shooting with the charge shot gem ability. The left hand doesn't have it, so it's shooting how it normally shot. If I wanted to, I could grab the gem and put it into the left hand, and then it would have the ability like so. So each hand kind of has its own specialties based on what you put into them. This was made before the gameplay ability system existed. If I were to make it again today, I would definitely incorporate that. In the vertical slice, we also included some enemies. The only enemy type we had was the winder for the vertical slice. It's just a basic enemy that flies around, patrols. If it sees the enemy, it goes aggressive and then starts following the player. If it's within range of the player, it will shoot at him. If it's out of range, it will try to get closer. The animation for it is also fairly straightforward. When you're patrolling, just do your basic movement. If you hit a checkpoint during the patrol, do an animation. If you see the player, now you go into an aggressive state where you'll flare out your wings a little more, and then from there there's a whole different set of movement with the wings flared out.